Happy Saturday, everybody. It is bright, sunny here. I'm looking out on a almost looks like a green pasture, at least to me. And so, welcome everybody to the Tech Only Saturday. I have a special guest with us this morning because we'd like to talk to everybody about splitting your BCHA and getting eCash and that type of thing. Welcome, Jetta Red.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
So, Jetta influenced me to do mine, to catch my to get my eCash. Sorry, I've got to turn off my do not disturb because my family is starting their texting Saturday, which means there's probably going to be 100 text messages to read when I'm off this. But what I've found is a little bit of information. What Jetta has found is a lot of information. So we were wanting just to share with everybody the ins and outs of claiming your eCash. And so, this is the document that whenever I work with someone, and Jetta, do you use this document or do you just know this by the back of your hand now?
Well, I've gotten to understand the process pretty well by now. And I would comment, this document is generally the process you would follow. However, it doesn't always work the way it says it does. I guess of the folks, I don't know if they're all listening, but I've helped probably close to about 15 different people now claim their eCash. What used to be referred to as BCHA or Bitcoin ABC, or it's gone through a rebranding and a redenomination of a ratio of 1,000,000 to 1. So originally you had Bitcoin ABC or Bitcoin Cash ABC. It's referred differently in different places. But basically, Bitcoin Cash did a fork back last November on a 1-to-1. If you had Bitcoin Cash, you get a Bitcoin Cash ABC or BCHA. And for a long time, it wasn't worth a lot. And then it was rebranded, denominized, if I'm saying that correctly, into a 1,000,000 to 1 ratio. So for every Bitcoin Cash or BCHA you may have had, the eCash equivalent is 1,000,000 times that. So George has put up the current price for eCash. So if you just generally speaking, for every Bitcoin Cash that converted, that split BCHA, it'd be currently worth about $204 now. So when it comes to free money, I'll take it. It's not like you're going to go through a lot of effort for $20. You're going to get $203.90 equivalent for each Bitcoin Cash that you can split. And when I said we follow that process generally, I've tried it with a couple folks, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Fortunately, we're able to still claim, in many cases, most of their eCash that may still be in a wallet. I just helped somebody the other day where we found in his Exodus wallet, there was some eCash there. You can't view it in Exodus, but if you go out to the eCash Explorer and you put in the right public address, you can see a balance.
Yeah.
And George, if I'm rambling, tell me. But if
No.
Okay.
This is perfect because there's so many different ways to do it, and it's like one of the things that I found is that if people have paid me or I've gotten Bitcoin Cash, that the older the eCash basically can travel with that, and I've been able to claim on people's Bitcoin Cash that they've sent me because they didn't break out the eCash off of it before they sent it out. So that, there's another scenario that that plays out. So you may be able to collect it now, and in the future, depending on what BCH you get into your life. It's just a weird. It's not like a fork that I've ever dealt with kind of thing. It seems that it's going to be kind of a little bit ongoing.
Correct. And what's interesting is that when we claim this eCash for some people, you look in their wallets, and there's let me just say there's two. This article is correct. You need to use two wallets to do this. One is called the Electron Cash, which is essentially a Bitcoin Cash wallet, and the Electrum ABC, which is your eCash wallet. You will need to use both of those to effectively and safely split your coins. But to your point, George, what you had said previously, people will find that they may have transacted last December and sent coins out or received coins, and there will be a portion of the coins that came in that you can still split. And that's because they probably came from someone who had not split their coins, or the exchanges hadn't claimed all, they hadn't stolen all of your eCash if you had it on an exchange. So for a while there, mostly in December, people would still get some eCash into their wallet, even though the cutoff date or the snapshot was November 15th. Not so much anymore. Unless you're doing a person-to-person transfer. If you're getting your Bitcoin Cash from an exchange, it's very unlikely that that would have any associated eCash.
Yeah, they're probably stripping it out, because I know I worked with someone on the other side of the pond yesterday, and he had sent it to Kraken because Kraken said, supposedly, I haven't looked back, that they would do the split there, and they actually didn't. So we were hoping to find quite a bit of eCash, and we did not. We found, believe it or not, Jed, it was 88 eCash. So just pennies. So it wasn't really worth it, but we had a great conversation anyways. So, so really there is not a, you can go through this document, and in the show notes today, there will be a link to this.
So let me just say, let me just say that. Okay, I was about to say, I had put out on a couple of the telegrams. Am I off, or can you hear me?
Yeah. Go. You're go.
Hello?
Oh, can you hear me? I can hear you. Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Good. I posted in a couple telegrams how people can find their extended public key, the XPub key, which is totally safe because it does not give access to your private key to control your coins. But when you use the XPub address and you plug it into one of those wallets, you'll see your whole history and all of the different public addresses that Bitcoin Cash uses. It's very comparable to Bitcoin and Litecoin, where when you transact, you may get a different address every time. And that different address is a privacy feature of those coins. So if you take a single address, let's say out of your Exodus wallet that had Bitcoin Cash, and not realize that there might be multiple addresses used, you may not see any eCash. But by using that extended public address or extended public key, you'll see all the addresses that were ever used. And that's how we actually found people had coins in their Exodus wallet. We had people had coins in Ledger. that were actually empty of any Bitcoin Cash. I hope this isn't making your head spin too much, but basically, someone had sent their coins off to Caleb and Brown, the Bitcoin Cash coins off to Caleb and Brown, and one way or another, the coins had been split inadvertently before that. And I think I know how that happened, but I won't. It really will make your head blow up to explain how that happens. But the point being, you can possibly still have your eCash coins on your ledger. You can possibly still have eCash coins in your Exodus, even though you may have sent your Bitcoin Cash off to Caleb and Brown or an exchange, something like that. So it's well worth, and I'm happy to check people's wallets for them. And if there's nothing there, I'll tell you. If there is something there, we'll work out how to recover those. Every time, like I said, I've helped about 15 people now, and every time I think it's going to be a cakewalk, it turns into a log roll. And the simplest, most direct, efforts, think, oh, this is going to be easy, and you get into it, and no, it's not. It's like so convoluted. And fortunately, I've gotten to a point where I can avoid asking anyone to use their private keys. And we only do that as an absolute last resort for people wanting to claim. And they have enough coins to make it worth it. Let me put it that way. Yeah. If you have a fraction, if you have, anything under 1 million eCash, which would be the equivalent of 1 BCH, it's up to you, but it may or may not be worth the effort to go through. But if you have, 5 or 6 or 10, or, I've helped people that had, many Bitcoin Cash from years ago, it's well worth their effort. Well worth their effort to claim, because it's free money. I don't know how else to put it, but it's free money. And if you can claim $5, $10, $20,000 of free money, I don't care who you are. That's a lot of money. So it's definitely worth pursuing. I'm more than happy to check people's extended public key to see whether or not they have any eCash available.
Yeah, and one strategy that people can think of, if you do have to crack your ledger, crack your Trezor, you can always wait until you sell the majority of your coins off that, and then go back and harvest that. I know that has come up with people who have not claimed Litecoin Cash because they didn't have it in the right wallet when the split happened. Oh my gosh, back in February. I know, because I was on the beach in February, and I forgot to move that before I went on vacation. And I was able to claim just the way I did things. But you can always wait, claim it later. Just remember that. Put a note in so that you don't necessarily have to move your coins off, because once you crack your hardware wallet, I personally consider it compromised, because I've narrowed my number of ledgers down, and there's a lot on it, and I don't want anything to happen to mine, and I don't want to have anything happen to yours. So, okay, Jetta, you are more than welcome to stay online. I'm just going to go through a couple things that people have requested support on, and I think it's kind of helpful to walk people through some of this, because let's do today I'm going to talk about the Ethereum network, basically, and it's what people are experiencing and not experiencing, and some of the confusion and that type of thing. And by the way, thank you, Jetta, for coming online and explaining. And he was my inspiration to get mine. So I'm glad that you kind of pushed me in that direction to claim. So we're going to cover a little bit of, let's see, of Ledger Live, because there's some confusion on people's, well, when they write in and they're like, where do I store SHIB? Well, SHIB is an ERC20. So because it's an ERC20, you would send it to your Ethereum wallet. And through some of the emails that I've gotten from people, here is Ledger Live for anybody that has never logged in. This is what it looks like when you look at an Ethereum account that that you have to set up, in Ledger Live. This is one of my Ethereum accounts, and it has OMG, SHIB, and Populous. And what I think has happened in the past is that some people have put coins, because I know DOS Network would not show up when DOS was first released. And then, later on, Ledger released a new version of Ledger Live, and you were able to see DOS. And so that will continue to happen as people add ERC20s or different, well, mainly ERC20s to their Ledger wallet in Ethereum, because what has to happen on the back end is that Ledger, through Ledger Live, has to add that contract into Ledger Live so that you can see it. So a couple emails that I've gotten from people, they've said, I can't see my Akita. I'm like, okay, well, maybe Akita, does not have the contract yet. And in fact, I thought it did, and it did. So one thing that I want to make people aware of is that this little black area, I kind of blacked out my tokens and what I don't want people to know what I have, but you can see what coins I have. Well, right now, I think sometimes people don't necessarily see parts of Ledger Live. And if you look below, it says show 8 tokens, or show tokens 8. So there's 8 additional tokens that are displayed. And so when you click on that show tokens, it kind of drops down and it shows you the other tokens that were hidden. And one of those is Akita Inu. And so when you're looking for that token, make sure that you're viewing all the tokens, the hidden tokens. They're not going to show, like some Ethereum wallets could have 20, and so that they will only show, obviously, I think it was 3, the top 3 by value, and then they will hide the others just because they don't want to take up so much space. I have a 27-inch monitor, love it, and I also have a 13-inch MacBook Pro. I hate the size of that screen because I don't get to see that much. And so this could be the same thing for anybody that is, on a 13-inch. When I work with people on a 13-inch monitor, it's hard to get all this information. So this is what it kind of looks like. And so, definitely when you're back in this view and it says show tokens 8, it's saying that there are some additional tokens that you want to view, and click on that little blue area where it says show tokens, and you'll get to this page. Well, it'll extend it out and show you all the coins that are there. What people have also commented on is that they will see right here the value. You can see USD coin, USDC basically. I have $134.48. That doesn't change too often because it's a stable coin. But you can see down below, DOS Network token has no value. Trace, no value. Unitrade, no value. It's no value according to Ledger Live. Now, there is value to those tokens, and you can go to CoinGecko, you can go to CoinMarketCap, and you can see the value per token. You can do, what it used to be Blockfolio, and I will continue to call it Blockfolio. You can go to Blockfolio and see that. Ledger Live, let me give you a little bit of history. I don't know when they started to add ERC20s, but back in the day, when you first used Ledger Live, the only thing you could see in an Ethereum wallet was Ethereum. You couldn't see ERC20s. And so you had to use other tools that we're going to look at next. And so Ledger Live is not necessarily the place where I do a lot of my ERC20 maintaining. It's a place that I can really quickly see, but it doesn't give me some of the information that I may want or that may be easier handled in another platform. So just because DOS network token does not show a value here doesn't mean that there's not a price for it. It just means that Ledger is not subscribing to some data feed that will put a price here. So don't think that your ledger is going out to a like CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko to get the price. Ledger Live is going back to a server with Ledger itself, showing and pulling that data for the price feeds. I know sometimes in the past there was like a bad price feed, and you'd look at your Ledger Live and be like, oh my gosh, I'm worth $28 trillion. This is great. Too bad it was just a bad feed, and it would fix itself after a little bit of time. And so that's why things could get totally out of whack. So this morning I was working with someone, and we were doing we were working on Theta. And so, we're going through the process of staking some things, and he said to me, well, it errored out. And usually that's because there's a setting that's incorrect on your Ledger hardware device. And it's usually contract data is not allowed. And he read it to me, and that phrase, contract data, was no longer there. It was something else. And so I guess I did not have my ledger up to date. But on the new 1.9.9 version of the Ethereum app, it no longer asks you about contract data. It asks you blind signing. So if you see blind signing enabled, it's okay. It's nothing wrong with your ledger. It's just a different set of words that they've decided to put in place. And instead of allow contract data, they're just saying blind signing. I don't know, because literally it's been just a couple hours and I took my son to soccer. I have not done some research to see if allow contract data is just on by default, because we really need that, because that's what an Ethereum ERC20 is a contract, is a smart contract. I'm not sure what blind signing is right now, because it was done on the Theta network. That throws a little wrench into it, and I have not tried to send anything via the Ethereum network. So just wanted to let you know, this is a change out there, and you may see that. And if you do, don't freak out. It's just the latest version on 1.9.9 on the Ethereum app that you'll see. So let me back up a little bit. So back in the day, you could not see any ERC20 tokens. What you needed to do was you needed to go to something called My Ether Wallet, or as it's now branded, Mu. Mu was the only one that you could really use back then. Well, it was the only one that I really used. It was the one that was everybody trusted. And then came My Crypto, and My Crypto is another online web-based Ethereum wallet. And one of the things that I like about My Crypto over my Ethereum wallet is that there is an app that you can download and install in your computer. And so I install that app, And that's the app that I use when I want to gain access to my Ethereum-based wallets, tokens, that type of thing. And so what I kind of wanted to just share with you is that there are other ways to look at your ERC20 tokens. This may also change with the Pulse chain. We're kind of getting into that and see where and how those will be stored. But there are other alternatives to viewing things in Ledger. And let me go over, because there is an online wallet that you can click here and it will take you to your wallet that you can connect with MetaMask, Trezor, Ledger. And what I'm gonna do, let me go back real quick. This is the online wallet, and the other alternative, they keep on moving it, but it was scrolling down. Yeah, and here, because I'm on a Mac, it shows my Mac. That it's a download for the Mac OS, but you can download and install the desktop version, and I'll show you what that looks like. Let me move this over, change the window. Okay. And so this is an app that you run on your desktop. The advantage of that, having an app as compared to a browser base, is because sometimes browser based applications give you errors, give you issues when you're not just easily browsing a regular web page. Meaning when you're trying to connect your Ledger, your hardware wallet, with the issue that came up with Chrome 91, that broke things. And if you don't want to have dependencies on browsers, when they change, they may break things. You can use an app like MyCrypto. And so it's very similar to, let's start all over so you can kind of see. It's very similar to what appears on the web page. Let me log in to my Ledger real quick. Okay, so you can use it with a Ledger, Trezor. If you have a private key, a key store, a mnemonic phrase, get rid of those and get to a Ledger or a Trezor. I don't care which hardware wallet you use. I know some people use other hardware wallets, and that's great. Whatever you feel comfortable with, but Ledger has so many apps that are built for it. It seems like most of the any new coin that comes out, they would build it for Ledger before they build it for Trezor. That may change in the future, but that's what you will need. Not to confuse you, but you can do other networks like Energy Web Token. You can use this for Pulse Chain. You're going to be able to use this because you can change networks. We're not going to get into that right now because I don't want to confuse everybody, but it's pretty flexible. So what we're going to do is we're going to log in with the Ledger, and it's going to say connect to Ledger Wallet. Okay, I must have another wallet because it broke like this last time when I was checking this morning. Let me see what I might have open. Nope, I'm going to quit it and then come back to it. I love how I can break things like that. Hold on. Just a second. Really, I did check this out this morning to make sure that it would work, and it did work. So let's try that again. Real quick. Okay, we're going to go to Ledger. We're going to say connect to wallet. There we go. I just needed to quit and then reconnect. One of the advantages of using something like my crypto, I guess you might be able to do it on the web page, is that you can label these different accounts. And I can go and I can see more. And this is the account that I used when people needed to send things for the DTA conversion and for the med conversion. Anybody that's done the med conversion, they screwed things up on their side, even though I got the tokens in a timely manner, they did not convert them. So I've had words with them and many emails back and forth, and we will be participating on the December 1st conversion, but another story. So you can go back, you can grab the first address if you want, and let's go in and look at that. And it's basically, you know, an Ethereum based wallet that you can have tokens added to it, or that you can have your tokens scanned. So if you don't see your ERC20 token in this, you can scan for tokens, it'll go through, it will try to find them. I did have these coins in here prior, and so that's why they showed up. And the other is kind of going back to where we originally were in Ledger Live. If Ledger does not have a contract, one of the ERC20 contracts, well, let me simplify this. If you get a new coin and you can't see it in Ledger Live, then you can add that coin here by clicking on Add Custom Token, and you could put the address and the decimal and the token and that type of thing. I think really nowadays you just need the address and all of the information gets sucked in. But this is a tool that you can use if you can't see a token on Ledger Live. And if you can't see the token because you've opened all the, large enough to see all the tokens, make sure you click that little show tokens at the bottom so that you see all of them. Then you can use a app. Oh, sorry, you know what? I switched windows and did not switch the app. Let me see. I'm going to go back to Ledger Live. Make sure you can, click this little show tokens so that you see all of them. And if the token that you're looking for does not show up here, you can go back to the My Crypto app, and you can also do it in MetaMask, but we're not going to cover MetaMask today. But I just want to give you alternatives to using Ledger Live for ERC20 tokens. And so that's kind of it, and I'll look for any questions on that. The other thing that I wanted to kind of go over, because someone pointed it out and I was like, oh man, I totally screwed up on this. But in my mind, I think everybody has a Ledger X or a Treasure Model T, and those are all USB-C connectors. And when I put these examples or suggestions of cables for the live stream that was on Thursday, I forgot to add connectors that are micro USB connectors for people with Ledger S's and Treasure Model 1s. So I've added those to the live stream. I'll add those down at the bottom of this. I personally think it's important to keep extra cables on hand. Number one, if anything happens, you have a backup cable, especially when we're getting close to selling. This is also a really good troubleshooting piece to carry with you. That it could be that your ledger is broken, it could be that your browser is broken, it could be your computer's broken, and it could be your cable is broken. So, checking a cable is much easier than trying some of the others. So, cables do wear out, cables kink, people borrow them, destroy them, they're lost. Keep some extra cables on hand. I sleep better. I have a ton downstairs and I probably bought too many, but I always like to have more than less, because let's be honest, the supply chain is not the way it used to be about a year ago. And it's better to have something now than trying to get it later when things might be sold out. I think the last time I checked with Ledger, it was a 3-week waiting period. I have an extra ledger. In fact, I'm going to have more extra ledgers because I'm kind of paring things down. So just, think about keeping an extra cable or two in your possession, just so it's easier to troubleshoot things. So we are going to go to questions. Let me get out of this and put that one up. Okay, this is from Tracy. George, good morning, George. I have 100% of my Theta and T-Fuel secured on wallet.thetatoken.org with my treasurer. I'm not familiar with Ledger, as 99% of my coins are on Exodus and Treasure, so I don't really know how to set it up with Theta or T-Fuel. Thanks, Jetta Red. My 24-word seed phrase for my Ledger and my Treasure are exactly the same. Yeah, this goes on, hold on. I went to the wallet.thetatoken.org and had my Ledger on. I got the message that it wants to authenticate using a registered security key. Can you help with those of us with treasures with the exact steps on what to do on the ledger, on our ledger, so we can authenticate the transactions and be able to send our Theta and T-Fuel? Thanks for all you do. Hey, Jet, are you there?
Yes.
I have. Yeah. Have you done Theta with a treasurer?
I have, and what it launches some kind of bridge.
Yeah.
Trezor bridge in the process, and it's one of those things you just keep massaging until it works. And I don't know if the key warning showed up when connecting the ledger. Is that what you just read?
Yeah, and it's but that key warning should not be on the ledger. I'm going to go there right now. I think I really don't have anything on this wallet, but
yeah, usually that's when it says the key, authenticate using the key, I immediately think Yubico key or YubiKey.
Yeah.
And I think what it just means in that case is it's a generic term for the hardware wallet.
Yeah, and I don't remember seeing that on the ledger. I'll show you a real quick connection with the ledger, because it's ledger treasurer. It's no real difference here. When I connect with the ledger and I'll hit continue,
Hey,
it'll ask. Oh, yep.
Okay, I'm sorry. So right there, while it's spinning, right above it says Ethereum, and it has that derivation path. M44/60/0/0. Sometimes you have to change that if your addresses don't show up. Anyhow.
Yeah, and typically, if you're setting it up for the first time, because to get them on your ledger, or really any hardware wallet, you'd have to go in here and set it up. So if some people like to change things, I like to leave it to default, because it just makes it much easier when I go back in 6 months later and forget everything that I've done. But that is true. You can do it this, and just because it says Ledger Live does not mean that it's Ledger Live. If you put it in Ledger Live, there are issues for that. But these are just different, basically, memory paths. And when, like this part you guys don't see, when I click on continue, there's something that pops up that says, the wallet that it wants to connect to. You don't see the pop-up, but you would if you used a ledger. And I'm going to say connect. Oh, and it's going to be yeah, there we go. So I don't see necessarily the Tracy, the error that you might have seen, where it says, I got the message that it wants to authenticate using a registered security key. That one you may just have to do a screenshot and send it in, and we can take a look. But this is how easy it is to get into your your Theta wallet using the ledger. The theta, or sorry, the treasurer will be a bit different.
Hey, yeah, George,
Mhm.
and I didn't see her actual question, but it sounded like, did she use the seed phrase from an Exodus wallet on her Trezor to where they were both the same? Because I tell you
Um,
what, Exodus and Ledger, they take slightly different derivation paths, and you might see coins. That's where I said before, you may have to drop down and pick one of the other options if you can't find the address you're looking for.
yeah, especially if you put it in one type of hardware wallet and you migrated over to another,
Correct.
or if you imported a key as compared to something else, um, that may be an issue. But some of these are so specific that people shouldn't worry too much. And yeah, Tracy, send a screenshot, because seeing not just the error code, but where the error code occurs really is helpful on figuring out where things might be broken, because I don't remember that error code on Theta. Ryan, thank you. Ryan says I have a good sense of humor. I try to laugh at life, but we'll see. Sometimes it's not that funny, but hopefully most of the time it is. Good morning to you, Elaine. Okay, the next one. Would it be viable strategy for today moving forward, swap out some crypto to BCH, then try and claim some eCash, or was the snapshot before today? The snapshot was way before today. I wouldn't try to get any BCH from an exchange or simple swap or anything like that just for the eCash. Most likely you're not going to get any, and it's not worth the fees. So I would say, nope, that's not a good strategy. If you had it in the past, that's the best strategy of all. Okay, this is from Lynn. If I bought BCH at Caleb & Brown around April 2021, does this apply to me? I'm thinking this only applies to people who bought BCH pre-2021. Yeah, pre-2021, but you got to remember, if you took possession of the BCH, you would be able to do it. If you left it on an exchange, they're going to take that off. I don't know if Caleb & Brown has a policy where when BCH comes in, they strip out all the eCash. I mean, if I owned an exchange, I'd have that policy. If someone had not stripped out their eCash, any BCH that came in, I would strip it out and take it, because that's a part of crypto. And that's what is a sound policy for any exchange. And that's why exchanges don't, I would say the majority of exchanges do not give you the split unless it specifically states that it does, because that's, honestly, that's one way that they can make a lot of extra money, extra coin. If they hold it, it's theirs. If you hold it, it's yours, and you can take any split, fork, or airdrop when you hold it. Okay. Pardito, sorry for the first question. Sounds like it was a snapshot date. Can you please repeat? Yeah, the snapshot date was back, was not this year. So if you were, yeah, let me look back at yours. Yeah, the snapshot date was way before today. And so if you held them a while ago, you can see if you hold any right now, if any were not basically stripped away. And if they were stripped away, you're not going to have any. If they weren't stripped away and you hold those BCH, then you might be able to claim the eCash. But it really just depends. We'd have to take a look. Lynn asks, Jetta Red, do you have contact information available? Yes, and I will give you what that is. If you go to bitcoinacademy.net and you go to services, consulting services, The reason why this is kind of a little offset is that Jay used to be here and he does not do any consulting at all. So I just have to rework this page, but there's Mrs. Neo, myself, Nate. Nate I didn't include on this call because I haven't had much interaction with Nate on BCH and Jetta has kind of really been heading that up. So that's why I invited Jetta, but Nate is a great guy and is doing consulting. By the way, just so everybody is very clear, George, Nate, and Jetta Red, we are all three different people and we do not report to each other. We share a friendship, but that's it. Everybody is their own independent consultant. So don't think that I know what Jetta Red's doing or what Nate's doing and what their specialties are. We do talk about things and work out some issues, but if you go to the consulting services page, you will be able to click on his contact information and get a hold of Jetta Red.
And George, I'm also in the Telegram. A lot of people reach out to me that way.
Yeah, the hard part is we don't publish the Telegram channel here, so that's
Rewind and delete.
I know, there's so many times like, yeah, if you email in to me using the help, I might know where there is a where there's a Telegram that might talk about things that we all talk about. But for anybody new, that we used to have Telegram channels, and it just got really weird. People were selling things on it that were representing themselves as an expert, and they weren't. And when Jay brings someone to the live stream, like we just had George Veronis talking about the Beamer, Jay knows that this person is an expert in the field and he will bring them in. Just like we'll go up here to services, crypto services. And these people have been cleared, quote unquote, cleared by Jay. And so, Caleb Brown, a lot of us use Caleb Brown. I would say a majority of people use Caleb Brown. Private banking strategies, that is Seth and Vance. And you've heard interviews that I've had with Seth and Vance. So we know that they are straight shooters. We know that they know what they're doing. So, the prior Telegram rooms where people were selling and promoting things that we had no idea who they were, what their knowledge was, if they were even straight shooters or if they were bad actors. And both Jay and I agreed that, we don't want people in a Telegram room that we're promoting getting bad advice from someone that we don't know. And so we basically just said, nope, there's only one Telegram room, and that is the quiet room where no one can post except for every time there's a posting, it's published there so people can see what the latest is. So there we go. You can go and grab and click that button and contact Jetta Red if you'd like. Okay, this is from Sanford. I want to withdraw USDT from Gate.io exchange. They offer the following networks: BTC Omni, ETH ERC20, Tron TRC20, BCSC, BIP20. They offer a large number of networks, and USDT, USDC, I would probably say, mainly USDT has a large number of networks, and you need to make sure that you select the right network. And I know I think I did this on the live stream. Let me see if I can bring that image up, and I'll show you what KuCoin has. Today's AMA. Okay, here we go. I think it's this one. Whoops. So KuCoin is very similar to what your question is on Gate.io. That if you withdraw withdraw SHIB on KuCoin, you can withdraw it as an ERC20 or a KCC. And KCC is their own network, their KuCoin network. And if you withdraw it to the KuCoin network, it will stay on the KuCoin network. What that network is like, I don't know. I've never used it. But an ERC20 is the Ethereum-based network, and that is the one that you are going to want to use unless you know what you're doing otherwise. Now, the others that you mentioned, the Tron, TRC20, that is the Tron network, and it is a token that rides on the Tron network. One of the reasons why people would use a different network is that Ethereum is so expensive to send. And so if you use another network like the Tron network, Solana, Polygon, those type of networks, you're going to be paying fewer fees to send the tokens, but you really need to know what you're doing. I've had people send their coins to the wrong network, and if you don't own the address that you're sending to on that other network, you're not going to get your coins back. And no matter how hard you plead with the exchange, you're never going to get it back because they don't own that address either. So you got to be really careful on what network you're sending things to. If in doubt, ERC20, that's your Ethereum network. The other thing that I think people really forget, because I've seen it happen too many times, is if you are unclear, spend the extra money and send a little bit of your token. I had someone send USDT to a contract address, and they're never going to get that back. And it's $8,000 that they're out. If they would have sent $100 just to check it out and make sure that it worked, then they would only be out $100 instead of $8,000. So, if you have not sent something to an address and you're unclear what network, is this okay? Definitely ask someone in the group, send an email, talk to Jetta Red on the to be named Telegram channel, but don't send everything at once. Just be aware of where you're sending. And if you don't know something, ask. Stop. Don't feel like you have to do something right away. Just ask and make sure that you're going to be sending to the right network. Remo, sorry, I have missed your webinar. Thank you, George, for all you do. Looking forward to watching later. You are welcome. Oh, I'm going there later. Well, I may not go today or tomorrow. I may go Monday because it's not very busy then, but he's going to Costco. Okay, this is from AE. Hi, George. Thanks for doing these live streams even more frequently than you originally stated. I've purchased some small amount, don't yell at me, SHIB from Coinbase. Oh, then no reason to yell at you. When you go to transfer ERC20s, it seems Coinbase takes a huge chunk of coin on the way, and it's not in, the fees on Ethereum are huge. And I've talked to people that have, they've bought a small amount. They've bought an Italian dinner, and it costs them a quarter of the Italian dinner as network fees. And so I'm now questioning whether or not an Italian dinner is worth it anymore just because of the network fees. But let me finish this. If I purchase some ETH, do you think or have experienced that Coinbase will instead take ETH instead of the coin which I am attempting to transfer? I don't know. You're going to need to check with each exchange. It's a little bit different. Sometimes they require that you pay ETH. Sometimes they require that you pay in the token itself, and that is all based on the exchange itself. And I'm sorry that you're kind of getting taken with those fees. And there's, that is honestly, I probably will never do an Italian dinner on an ERC20 token because the fees are too high. When you can buy Litecoin as an Italian dinner and you can spend less than a penny to send it, I'm all about that. But when you have to spend, $20 to send an ERC20, um, that's when I think the network, the smaller tokens should jump ship and go to another network. They could go to the Theta network. They could go to the Tron network. They could go to the Pulse chain. Pulse chain may, really revive some of the smaller tokens just because of the fees. Because who wants to buy $200 in an ERC20 as you're building your position and spend so much on transfer fees? It's just not worth it. Okay, and this is from John. Good morning. Can you explain any ways, if they do indeed exist, to reduce ETH fees? I have 1,000 OX on Jack's Liberty, nothing else. Ran out of time during our consult. Okay, the easiest way to reduce your fees, honestly, is by the time. What I found, and I don't know if that's true anymore because I'm not moving them around, but I would move my ERC20s early Saturday morning or early Sunday morning. When there's not that much traffic on the Ethereum network, you pay fewer fees for the network. When the network is just rocking, like when you see the alts stream north really start to skyrocket, you're going to see the same thing happen in your network fees. So how can I put this? If you think that something is going to really move, as we see, as we follow what Jay is showing us, and you think that the ERCs are just going to rocket, you may want to think about moving some of those tokens before that happens, because when the network gets clogged, you're going to be paying much more fees in Ethereum transactions. Sorry, the network fees for Ethereum. So, John, the best thing I can say is try weekend mornings. That's what I found, but that was months ago. That was back in, let me see, I was there. So that was back in January and February where I kind of noticed that when I was moving things and shifting around. Right now, there are different networks that they are trying to reduce, like Solana, and we're not going to get too far into this because it's going to confuse people, but there are things called side chains. There are other networks like in the prior question where they could ride or send their tokens on another network so that they would pay fewer fees. One of the things that I've kind of suggested to people is that, and in your case that may be different, is that if you have a whole bunch of coins on a particular exchange and a lot of them are ERC20s, as long as there's not a high dollar value, what you might want to do is leave them there. I know, I always say take them off, but what you might experience is if you can, look, if you have 5 coins and $200 each, and you have to pull each of those 5 coins off, and it's going to cost you $20 per ERC20 to pull off, that's $100. One strategy that you might want to think about is leaving them on that exchange. You don't have a high value dollar amount right now, and that when you liquidate them all into a particular coin. For example, if you liquidated a bunch of ERC20s into Litecoin and then pulled it off the exchange, you would be paying a very small amount in network fees. And so if you do have ERC20s that you don't even care about, you could liquidate them and into a coin that's very inexpensive to move, and and you could potentially get them off and either convert it back into something else or just take that profit. So one example that one thing that I suggested to someone, I think they had, oh my gosh, they had way too many ERC20s on an exchange. And I suggested, why don't you liquidate them on the exchange? You're still going to be you're going to still be incurring the fees to sell them. But if you sold them all into a coin like Litecoin or Neo or something like that, and then move them off the network that way, you could potentially be saving a lot of money in ETH fees if you were just going to liquidate them anyways somewhere else. So just, food for thought, and kind of go from there. Okay. Tracy, I can't see that. It just has an image path, and it does not have a okay, yep, yes. Next thing she says is, can't get the actual screenshot to insert theta error message. Go ahead and send that to the email, and if we have time, I will, the support email, like the little thing down below on one of the pages on the .NET site or the .io site, and I'll see if I can log in there before we go and take a quick look. I'm not going to go much past 12:30 for sure, because I am primary dad today. Someone is at a conference down in the basement because, well, no reason to travel nowadays, but I'm on. Okay, Partido. I wish I knew how to pronounce your name better. You guys rock. Thanks, George and Jetta Red. Daisy Dukes. Yes, good old Daisy. Tanya, I was needing to set up a Theta wallet and tie with the Ledger X. George, have you already done a tutorial on this? I have been doing the YouTube ones. Any notes on things to watch out for, to make notes in the setup process, etc.? I believe I'm going to have to look. I've done so many. I've done so many different things. I forget that I've done some of them. And let me just take a quick look on something else, and I'll bring it over. I believe I have a, let me just take a quick look. I either have it on one of two sites. Let's see. Just for all of you, this is an older page, and I probably need to update the .NET site. For all of you, if you get confused with what Black Lab is, that was me way back before I met Jay. In fact, I've had this domain since '97, and it wasn't really doing much. So when people had questions, I put together this website talking about crypto. So there was one landing page. But if you go to blacklab.net/theta, there is a bunch of videos here on staking Theta, and it will kind of go through, and I think most of it is still relevant. And this is before, I guess this is not a video, but this is the days that I would do screenshots and write it down, because there was no way I was ever going to do a video and talk on air. And well, things definitely change. There is on blacklab.net/theta, there's some videos, and then there are some, or sorry, there's some text documents. And then if you go to the bitcoinacademy.net, and I believe under technology and staking, there's Theta token and T-Fuel. And I think this is more of, it talks about staking and unstaking, but it should walk you through how to log on. And you're not necessarily creating a wallet like some places. The wallet already exists. You're just accessing the wallet on the Theta network when you're using a hardware wallet, because the keys are already in your hardware wallet. The Theta wallet is just allowing you to access those keys. So you're not really creating a wallet, you're just accessing it. Pat just got in the call. My question is, if I only had 4 BCH, is it worth the effort? That is a good question. 4 BCH could be 4 million eCash. You know, it might be worth it. And we can kind of find out how to get a, before going through the process, Pat, just email and Jetta Red and I can help you kind of see if it might be worth it. Hi, George, Jetta. If you guys find a solution to Tracy's issue, will you please share it with us publicly, as I'm having the same issue? Interesting. Okay. Then, yeah, because when you have interactions with so many different pieces, like when you are connecting a hardware wallet, okay, yeah, sorry, Jetta was just, he was texting me, he was kind of I think he's off because he got out of range. So basically, because there's so many different interactions with different things, meaning that you have an operating system, Windows typically, or Mac, and then you have different hardware wallets, typically Ledger and Trezor. Then you have the different browsers. And so all of those sometimes don't work with one another. And sometimes that the same thing on one computer won't be the same on another. Okay, sorry. Nope, I think you're, okay, no, sorry, Jetta, we're still recording. Sorry, he was saying he thought he might have closed off the session. So that's why it's hard to say this is a fix for everyone. The perfect example is my MetaMask will not work on my Brave browser with Ledger on my 27-inch Mac, but it will on my 13-inch Mac. So why? I don't know. It just is the way that it is, and I've just learned to live with it. And maybe someday it will magically fix itself, but I'm not too worried. But something like this, yeah, and ND, whoever you are, if you can also send in a ticket, because what we're able to do is when we see that there's something common between two things, then we can point to it and say, it's probably this. So I will look and see if we can find that. Okay, and this is from Pat. Pat, another. Can I send my SHIB directly to Caleb and Brown from my crypto.com exchange, or do I have to convert it over to an ERC20 first? I don't go on crypto.com, Pat, and I'm guessing it's an ERC20, but I honestly don't know. I'd have to take a look into that. When I guess if you send it in their high fees, then it's probably an ERC20. But I don't know, because I don't use crypto.com, and I'm guessing it would send it on an ERC20, but you'd have to see, like if you send a screenshot and it's asking which network, that would be an important thing to see. So I can't say because I don't go on crypto.com. I'm guessing it's already an ERC20, because if it's truly SHIB, SHIB is an ERC20. And I know that you don't have to convert it to an ERC20. You may have to move it to an ERC20 network, but send me a screenshot of what you see on your side because I'm unclear of how they do things on their side. And this is from HGB. Hi, George. I value online privacy and have taken some steps over the years to try to reduce my footprint. No social media accounts, VPN for all internet browsing, NextDNS, privacy-focused DNS services that has block lists for trackers, Signal for iPhone, and secure email. Recently, a new colleague of mine who is a network architect mentioned that, let me move this over, mentioned that I was doing this useless as machine learning algorithms of big actors look for the exceptions in the group and I would be sticking out and they would then focus on studying the outliers. This seems concerning, appreciate your advice and have to reconcile to be more private. Your friend is not wrong. Part of, because this is a bigger topic. I use my my VPN sparingly nowadays because most of the places know that you're coming from a VPN. VPN, I think, really doesn't get you any more private, or definitely not anonymous, and really not that private either, because if you think about it, when you use a VPN, all you're doing is you're saying you're coming from a different area, from a different IP address. Well, when you use your cell phone, you're usually coming from a different area and a different IP address. So whether or not you're using a VPN at home or not a VPN at home, it's kind of like your cell phone when you're traveling. And that the majority of it is, if you change your IP address, you're still logging into Amazon, you're still logging into YouTube, you're still logging into all of these different areas, and that they see your IP address and they're like, okay, he's coming in from Houston or something else. But they know who you are, they know where you live because you have an account with Amazon and with Netflix and with any place that you have a credit card, because as you know, to have a credit card, you have to put in the address, you have to put the zip code in, or they typically fail your transaction. So they know a lot about you. And he is correct in saying that when you try to hide more, then you do stick out more than if you become a gray man. The one thing that I don't necessarily, well, I don't use NextDNS for blocking trackers. I use my own DNS server, and I sometimes talk about it, but there's a shortage of Raspberry Pis, so I don't really talk about that much, but I use a Pi-hole. And a Pi-hole, you have your own DNS server. You can set it up that way. So you go to the core routers and you get the DNS and it brings it back and it stores it locally in your home. And what that also does is you can block trackers. I think blocking trackers is okay because you're blocking trackers. Now, if you're blocking trackers in your browser, that's different than blocking trackers as what they call a DNS black hole, where you just don't resolve the IP address. So I think having your trackers blocked is very appropriate and okay. And I don't think that it makes you stick out like you would doing other things like Signal for your phone and secure email. Sure, but I don't use Proton as my mail, as my main mail program, just because if I want something that is private and I send it between a Proton mail and a Proton mail, sure, that supposedly stays encrypted. The to address and the from address are not encrypted, and neither is the subject. So that is visible. But anytime you send mail out of Proton mail, it's not encrypted, it's not private, it's sent in clear text, and it's stored in Utah. And that's not it's not a conspiracy theory But all of our conversations on the phone and all of our email, all of our text messages are just harvested and stored. They're not necessarily looked at unless you are being looked at individually, but they are stored for future retrieval just in case you do something wrong. So I would agree, no social media accounts. I don't have a social media account. Does that make me stick out like a sore thumb? No. I mean, I guess it depends on who's looking at you, and it depends on why you're doing it. I'm just trying to stay private. I don't want to share with the universe what I'm doing, where I went to go get a cup of Starbucks or whatever. And I think more and more people are becoming aware that they need to be more private. Yes, the harder you some of the things that you do to hide yourself, you will kind of stick out. And one of them is what they call a browser fingerprint. Like when you have things on your browser that are blocking certain things or are special things that not too many people would use, not the majority of people use, you become, we'll say, brighter in um, in being an outlier, like you land outside of just the norm. And when you land outside of just the norm, you can be uh, found easier than if you just are a gray man like everybody else. So on my browser, I just try to be like everybody else. I don't do anything special. I want to do the same thing that everybody else is doing so I can hide in the crowd. So yeah, it is a hard one, but if you can just be as normal as everyone else, that's when it's hard to find you. But not being on social media, I I will disagree. I think it's okay not to be on social media because not everybody is, and you could just be one of those people that is not on social media. Okay, we will go on to the next. Tracy. Tracy here, I sent a question on Theta and Treasurer, 2 screenshots. I will look toward the end depending on the timing on that. Okay, let's move on to the next. Pat, okay, you are welcome. Okay, yep, you got that. Okay, Pat. Okay, I'm going down. We have like 2 more. Okay, people are just checking in. Yes, and yes, SHIB is an ERC20. So I think if anybody has anything else, they can throw it in there. I'm going to look at, there's going to be a little bit of a silence for a second because I'm going to look at the ticket and see if I can quickly recognize what the issue might be. Interesting. Hold on, that just disappeared. I'm looking at Tracy's screenshot. I have not seen that. And I can't recognize the browser that you are using. Tracy, what browser? Tracy, do you want to come on the air? If you do, or if anybody else does, we have some time. If anybody wants to join me here, just put it in. Okay, let me find you on the list. And okay. Tracy, I have unmuted you, and if you can figure out how to unmute yourself, then we'll get you on. But let me see what while you're figuring that out, let me open a browser And if you can also, okay, there we go. Tracy,
Thank you. Yep.
can you hear us?
Yep. I can hear
Great.
you. Thanks.
Well, welcome to Saturday.
Thanks. Okay. So while
Um,
you were still talking, I do have a YubiKey and I put it in, and I don't know why Wallet Theta Token wants my YubiKey, but I at least got my ledger to let me in, and I've been trying to go through all the derivation paths. I can't see my address yet, so right now I've got my Trezor back open, and I was getting my address so I can more specifically look for it. But so question number one, most people should just be able to, if you have the same seed phrase, if you have it secured with Trezor, you just put your ledger in and most people can just log in and still move their theta around.
yeah. Oh, I see. Your issue is, sorry, let me get the screenshot. You're experiencing, okay, now I know why you're doing this because you can't get your
I can't move my
Treasure to
theta.
see. Yeah. So it's interesting. And what browser are you using? Can you see
Yeah, I'm on a Mac Air and I use Mozilla.
Mozilla? Okay. So is it the Firefox version?
Yes.
Because my okay.
Well, I think
Um,
so. That's what it says. It's orange and gold and kind of a
yeah.
circle. When
Yeah.
I
With
hover over it,
a
it says Firefox. Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Because there are kind of some different versions. That is kind of interesting that and someone else was having that. Let me look back.
You know, my
Uh,
YubiKey is not connected to Theta. I don't even think they allow that, but I put it in and it maybe is a missing piece because that is the
well,
message you get. I don't
yeah,
know.
but you know what? Actually, hey, in ND, you had the same issue. If you can just let me know what did you convert your Trezor to the ledger? But when you connect your ledger to Firefox, this little thing drops down and does it flash for you or is it solid when this message? Do you remember?
So I'm not using it with Ledger Live. Here's what I mean. Maybe
Oh
I'm
no,
not doing
not
this right.
yeah,
No.
not Ledger Live because Ledger Live will never use because Ledger Live doesn't see anything Theta related. It'll only be the Ledger hardware wallet that you'd connect. But
Yeah.
different browsers experience different or show it in a different way. I know when I'm on a Windows computer and you're plugging in your ledger and it flashes messages, it means that it's actually working. Sometimes if it's just solid, it means that there's not really a good communication. And I know on Firefox, on the Windows side of things, that message up top usually flashes a few times, like to get your attention. And you can think about it this way. A ledger or a Trezor is a security key. It holds your keys. It just holds it for different wallets. And so it creates your keys for the different wallets because it customizes it to the blockchain. So in a way, it is a registered security key. And I know it's very similar to like your YubiKey, but the YubiKey is really just for one type of use. Um, okay, and ND
So
is
it
saying
was a
never.
solid line, or a solid message, and if I didn't do anything, it just disappeared off the screen. Like, well, you're not.
Okay, and yeah, and ND says he's never converted, been using Ledger nonstop. I tried several different browsers, Firefox, Chrome, Brave, etc. Got the same message Tracy is getting. I'm assuming that it has directly with Theta, and I connect my Ledger to Mu or other wallets. Well, yeah, this is really
So if you
kind
want,
of
George,
interesting.
I can I can plug my ledger in and I can screen share. I know we just have 5 minutes, but
Well, the other, and it may be one of those because we're having other people have it. Uh, the question that I would ask both of you is, do you have you updated to the latest? Well, first, is it a Ledger X or a Ledger S?
I have the big one, whatever it's
Okay,
called,
the
X.
X.
Nano
And
X.
yeah, and when you, I can't do the screen share right now because how it all works. But when you, I can hear you clicking in your password. When you log in, is your Ethereum app on the ledger? What version is it? Is it whichever I showed
So if I
before?
click
Which
on that, it just says application is ready. I'm not sure how to
okay,
know
yeah,
that.
click to the right.
Okay. Oh, 1.9.2 looks like.
Okay, and the latest is, hold on, I did screenshots going through all these. The latest is 1.9.9. Okay, now go to the next, oh, hold on, I did screenshots. Hold on, I'm missing, oh, here we go. Nope, maybe I closed it. Sorry, I'm getting everybody dizzy. Let me go back to my list of images. Okay, click over one more time and it should say something like settings.
Yes, it does.
Okay, click both of those buttons.
Okay. Okay.
And what does it
Contract
say?
data, allow contract data in transactions allowed.
Okay, what I'm gonna make you do before we think that something may be broken, go onto your ledger, sorry, Ledger Live, and we can
Oh,
we can follow about after this. Because what I'm going to have you do is you can see the latest version on
it says,
that's Ledger Live. That Ledger
yeah,
Live.
I do need to
This is
update Ledger Live. This
yeah,
says
so you need to update
download
Ledger Live,
update.
which will
Okay.
then force you to update, well, not force you to, but it'll give you an option to update your Ethereum app. But what also may have happened is that you don't have the latest firmware on your ledger, which is 1.3. And so that's why some of this stuff is so complex because make sure that your browser is up to date, make sure your Ledger firmware is up to date, make sure your Ledger app is up to date, and that because it becomes so complex with having all the different versions, that some things will just break. And the only way that you know how to fix it is to upgrade everything so that everybody's on the same the same
Yeah,
platform,
got it.
the same
Current.
versions and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
So quick question, it's updating
Mhm.
Ledger Live, but I don't really know how to update my actual Ledger device. Will it
It
ask me sometime or will it?
sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time it does, but when you go into your Ledger,
I'm in.
Live, and do you see? You have to go to the area where you would install your apps, which is Ledger Manager.
Mhm.
When you are there, does it, let me open mine. Does it show you the version? And I'll tell you where, okay, and ND says Ledger X. I also tried different computer, go to the same error. My Ledger and ETH apps are up to date. Okay, hold on.
Oops. Okay,
The firmware should be, oh yeah, I've got to
it's
get into my,
loading. Okay. Oh, I have 2 updates to do here.
I bet one is Ethereum.
I don't know how to know.
Okay, I'm gonna connect. If you click, there's a little, I don't remember what it says. Hold on. I need to get into mine real quick.
I
I'm
can
not
just
gonna,
say update all and let it.
well, there should be, well, let's see. There should be like a little pull down that shows you, oh yeah, I have updated mine. So,
Oh, yes, it's Ethereum and XLM are the 2 that needed to be updated.
okay, you can update those, but up above where it says Ledger Nano X, it says
Yeah.
firmware. And what does your firmware read?
Well, I let it do the download and now it says install. So, oh,
Okay,
firmware 1.3.0
okay,
says
yeah,
it's up
you
to
have the
date.
latest. Yeah, you have the latest. So I would try the app, but ND's having the same issue. And he says his Ledger and ETH apps are up to date. Tried it on different computers, got the same error. Both are Windows. Yeah, these, you too, if other people are having the issue, write in and maybe we can all kind of figure out something that's common. Tracy, are you on Windows or Mac?
Mac.
Mac. Okay, so good. We have different platforms. See, and this is where things just get a little weird because I have someone that I work with, actually good friend now. He can't claim his FLM on flamingo.finance. He can do everything else. He can't claim Flamingo. He tried different computers, different hardware. And so there is something that is definitely every now and then is just really weird. And we'll probably have to just pursue this a little bit and see if there might be a fix. And hopefully, Tracy, that updating your Ethereum app will kind of clear it up, but we won't know until we
So
know.
in Ledger Live, it says up at the very top, update ready to install. I keep clicking install now, but nothing's happening.
This is just a bad UI experience that they have. It's doing something because all of a sudden it's just going to disappear. And what
Oh,
they really need to have is, did it disappear yet? Because it'll just close and then install and then open up. Oop. I may have, oh, no, you're still there, Tracy. Did it close
we
and,
lost you.
oh, okay. Oh, interesting. Did it
Oh,
restart yet? Did
well,
the
we
app?
just couldn't hear you. But you said that they don't have a message.
Yeah, they don't,
No. So just leave my computer open and let it.
yeah. Yeah, and if not, then restart your computer and try again.
Yep, I can just close, quit Ledger Live
Yeah,
and open it back up.
yeah, and see what it has done. I mean, it's yeah, I'm not sure. Antivirus can also be an issue. I mean, there's a lot of different things. What I would do is both of you that are having this issue, shut down your computer. Don't restart. Shut it down so it clears out everything. Start up and only do that. Only focus on trying that, so that what we're trying to eliminate is something else trying to grab a resource or interfering with the resource or interfering in some way. Because I know going back and forth, with having different wallets open, that when I have Ledger Live open, some other wallets don't open because it's using the same resource, it's using the same connection. They're trying to stop a man in the middle attack. And so clearing it out and starting fresh is the best way to just make sure that it's not something else that's running or potentially running in the background. For example, I need to restart mine because I can't get rid of a, what is this? It is the Electrum wallet that was used to install Electrum earlier this week. So sometimes just clearing it out by restart will help.
Okay.
And so unfortunately, I can't do a quick fix, Tracy, but let's email in and we'll see if we can address this. Better address all of this early than in the middle of trying to get rid of things.
It's been hanging over me. Thank you for taking the time to go over it. I knew I needed to. I was hoping that magically it would just get fixed before.
Well, yeah, and maybe a restart,
Maybe it
maybe
will.
something. Yeah,
He
because
feels
you
at
know what?
38.20 cents.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Okay, Tracy, thank
All right.
you. And
Thanks. Yeah.
I'm gonna answer one more and then we're gonna end for the day.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Okay, and this is from Joseph. Thanks, George and Jetta. Jetta, thank you for your instructions. George, I purchased Ledger Nano X. I would like to install HBAR wallet and I watched your video. I have some HBAR on Atomic, Exodus, and Bittrex exchanges. Do you have to send one HBAR from an established wallet to build my wallet, or can I send myself one HBAR? No, you cannot do it from just any wallet. You can't just send it to a wallet. You have to use a particular wallet to do it. And I use a wallet called Walla Wallet. I used to use the Hedera wallet before they kind of discontinued it. And the Walla Wallet will allow you to create a wallet. So the best thing to do is send it a QR code and I can do it. Or if someone else has a Walla Wallet, they can create a wallet for you, but it is a specific wallet that you have to use to create an account for Hedera. So I think, oh, hold on, one more from Joseph and then we'll end it. George and Jetta, thank you, Jetta, for instructing on how to claim eCash. In a situation like the previous caller who had only 4 BCH to claim, as Jetta knows, I have about 1 BCH to claim and 1 million eCash. Is it worth it to do not knowing Jay's targets for eCash? I'm afraid of losing my other coins on Treasure One, like I lost my coins stored in Ledger Nano S last year. Thanks. You know what? If in doubt, don't worry about it. You know, if you lose a couple $1,000s, it's at least you're not losing your big capital, but that is, you know, you're not really sure if you have the eCash on those 4 BCH, 4 million times, you know, you're not going to lose that much. You can always wait until eCash climbs, and if it is, if it's worth the money to get it, then do it, because you can have the other coins moved off that as you sell them into the market, and then you can grab your free coins. But if in doubt, don't do it, because it's not worth having issues further on down the line or losing other things. So I want to thank everybody for Saturday. We're at an hour and 38 minutes. I do enjoy this, and so I appreciate you guys joining me today. And Tracy, thanks for coming on the air. And I do like talking to people, so I'm glad Jetta was able to join us, and I'm glad Tracy was. So I'm trying to do these every 2 weeks because I know we're coming up to crunch time. And you know, hearing what you guys want to be explained on, you know, these broadcasts is very helpful. So in the comments below this, if you want me to go over something, let me know and we'll see what we can do. Everybody have a great rest of the weekend. Thanks.